Hello, my name is Jenan Kanono. I'm the team leader at Jonoki Holdings Limited, where we get to serve you. So if you have a financial challenge, if you have a money problem, if you want to scale up your business, we have you sorted. And you can always check us out at www.thejonakiholdings.com for money solutions. We are located in Tinda as our headquarters and at Mulago Business Center as our branch. Enjoy this video. Welcome to part 2. This is part 2 of when you're lending against land title as a collateral. If you're doing secured lending, it is important that that money is secured because it is very easy to lend out, but it is very hard to collect that money. So you owe to know how you're going to collect that money. That's why I encourage us that you do secured lending if you're to lend. Non-secured lending is very tricky, it's very volatile, it is very cumbersome. So there are key things if you're using land title as a collateral that you need to look out for. The possible encumbrances, the potential encumbrances that you need to take care of before you even transact on the land. The first one is those lands that have only ndagano. We call them ndagano or agreements. Only agreements. Someone says, I have a chibanja, I have land, I have plots, but it's only by agreement. You realize that here in Uganda, in our jurisdiction recently, the law was passed. It was a directive from the president that you cannot borrow on land if the actual owner of the land has not authorized you. If you cannot borrow on that land. So you can imagine for those guys who are lending on land agreements, on Vivanja, what then befalls them? That means their money is potea. You cannot collect that money. It's not collectible at all. It's not collectible. So you ought to tread very carefully. So the moment someone says, I only have a chibanja, I only have ndagano, I only have an agreement, you cannot transact on that. Even look at it this way. Look at this angle. A person comes, he has an agreement, and he gives it to you, and he borrows on that land. It just takes small amount of money, even part of the loan that you gave him, to go and bribe the chairperson and the actual owner and say, you know what, I lost my agreement. Can you please redo another agreement for me? And lo and behold, this chairman or this seller will genuinely do another agreement because they genuinely sold to them. You cannot put a mortgage on that agreement, on that land agreement. You cannot put anything on it. So it is important that you do not lend on a land agreement. If you're using land as a collateral, the moment someone says, I have a land agreement for that land, please do not lend on it. The other key thing is squatters. We have had scenarios of you lend on the land knowing that there are no squatters. Before you know it, when you're foreclosing or when it's a back and forth with the client, all of a sudden you see squatters on the land. So there are potential indicators. If there are some structures on the land, they may seemingly look vacant, they may seemingly look as if there is no one, but sometimes the chairperson of the area, even the owner of the land connects with the residents. He says, you know what, I'm giving you some small money, first vacate on this day because we are coming to value this land. We are coming with the valuers. So please vacate for this weekend so that you can come back later. Because you see, you don't value the whole day. You go there for like 2-3 hours. The guys are probably at their work or somewhere, and you think there are no squatters. And before you know it, people are resident on that property. So you need to verify if there are squatters or not. You need to verify that. If there's a squatter, it is dangerous to transact on that land or to use it as a collateral to secure the money to the client. It is important that you take care of this because sometimes the owners of the land connive with the squatters and they give them part of the money, and before you know it, you're in hot soup. Why? Because you cannot foreclose on that land, you cannot recover that money because it's encumbered. It has squatters on it. Some squatters can be there for as far as 1945. And he says, I've been on this land for this long, so you cannot just chase them away. You cannot chase them away. So you need to make sure that the land does not have squatters. And this has to be verified. I actually encourage you, because for us land, you actually have to do a second visit in the absentia of the actual owner of the land. This is when you get to land on some of these things. So if you only do one visit, it is high time you rethought. You need to do a sudden, abrupt second visit. That's when you can establish the actual facts on the land. If you're transacting on the land, it is the most risky. it is the most risky. So you ought to give it the attention that it is due. So give it attention that it is due. Do a second visit. The cost for transport to go back might not be commensurate to the actual loan you might actually potentially lose. You might actually potentially lose because you do not know how much it is you may lose. But so you can do a second visit. The other key encumbrance that you need to look out for is swamps. Some lands are in swamps. They have titles, they are okay, but they are in swamps. You have seen some lands that have been cancelled by NEMA. They have been cancelled by land offices, local governments. They are in swamps. You've been seeing directives here in Uganda by the president saying lands in swamps is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you're evicted. It's a matter of when you're landed on. So you can imagine if the person borrowed on such a land. And mind you, there are a number of clients that have actually increased the borrowing on the swampy lands because he knows they have even been served some letters and they are hiding them. They have been served letters of eviction, serving notices, they have been served notices, and the guy comes, he gives you the land as a collateral, and it is in a swamp. So anything having to do with a swamp, there is a potential bomb, time bomb that is going to burst on you because you do not know when they cancel that land title. That even if you have a mortgage on the land title, it can easily be cancelled because it's a government directive. So you all know to lend on land that is seemingly swampy, that is seemingly lying in the swamp, because some of these titles were made through bribes, through bribing here and there, giving out money here and there to land offices. And before you know it, the person has a land title. So you can imagine if you land on such a land, and before you know it, you cannot collect the money. Ideally, the person has sold the land to you. And mind you, sometimes most of these guys who get land in swamps, they have built there. They have homes. It is actually some other things that you have to tread carefully on. Marital homes. Marital homes. Someone could be there and probably he belongs to a particular religion where they are allowed to marry more than one person. And the person says, you know what, I don't have a wife. And before you know it has happened to us. And before you know it, the person has a wife in the property. And you lent on that property. And before you know it, you cannot foreclose on the property because there is a wife. So you need to verify, you need to double check. So the person could even be having a land in the swamp to put an insult to an injury. He even has, it's a home. And probably even the wife did not sign. So if you're going to lend on land, it should not be in a swamp. But also too, if it's a marital home, the husband and the wife have to sign. And even the children, so that you can actually be sure that this thing has no problem. Because land is one of the trickiest things you can never lend on. So you ought to take note of these 4 items. Make sure that they are encumbrance free, that in the event that because ultimately your intention is not to foreclose on the land. Ultimately, your intention is not to foreclose on the collateral. Your intention for lending against this collateral is so that the client can pay. That's why even when I share on these encumbrances, even when I share on these collaterals, it is important that you actually look at someone's cash flow, look at the client's cash flow, and verify their ability to pay back. Because ultimately, it's not the collateral that will pay back, it's not the land that will pay back, it's not the color book that will pay back, it is the person. So you ought to verify their financial capacity to pay back, their financial muscle to pay back, rather than fronting the collateral. Unless you have different intentions, which might not sustain you in business, because if you're lending with an intention to foreclose on someone's building or foreclose on someone's property, that's an evil intention. And I doubt the Lord can honor such. So you ought to be mindful, you ought to have a right conscience, and you ought to verify someone's financial capacity because you want to clash with as few clients as possible. Because you're in business, because you can get referrals. In money lending, the biggest cash cow is getting clients through referrals. Using marketing as an approach is expensive. So you ought to clash with as few clients as possible. How do you do that? Make sure that clients can afford the loans. But also for your safety, that in the event things went south, because sometimes the way you plan things is not the way they work out. In the event that things go south, it's your collateral that will save your money. Thank you for watching. I hope you implement these things. Go out there and implement. Share with as many as possible. But also like, subscribe, and comment. And always check us out at www.jonakeyholdings.com. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.